great school, and in my opinion, great food. Let's take a moment to appreciate that our school is actually really great. But before we get right into that, we need to say some simple words. The two incredible people who made this possible, Mr. Helmut Kutin and Dr. Margaret Nkrumah. Dr. Margaret Nkrumah, the first principal to be, who built the foundations of this college into this beautiful school we keep. A retired educator, a former senator, the first principal of HGIC, a board chair, a board member, and high intelligence. A remarkable woman who proves she cares, a powerful woman who leads many affairs, a strong woman who stands for what's right, a motherly figure, a great guiding light. Mr. Helmut Kutin, may his soul rest comfortably. He lived a life of empathy, a life lived honorably. He shaped millions of children's lives, not only doing what was right, but going above and beyond to help the children thrive. Although he may not be here to continue being so great, his legacy goes way farther than the hands of fate. All in all, it goes without saying, these two people left with purpose, never straying. So as I say thank you to these two inspirations, let this be our admiration, celebration, and appreciation. Thank you.
Good afternoon, HGIC. My name is Derek Hughes. I'm in DP1, and my poem is titled A Founder's Way. Founders are like the seeds planted into the ground, deep into the soil, oblivious to the sounds. The sounds move as waves, both salty and depraved, drowning their thoughts, sinking their craze. Yet they survive, bloom and groom their turf. From the wave of suffering, they learned to surf. They learned to breathe underwater and walk with the fire, soak in the sunlight and sprout with its power. The seeds form its foundation with stems and with leaves, strengthening its structure, not swaying with the breeze. The founder builds the stem to support and leaves to shelter, their mission, vision, and philosophy at its center. When it comes to founders, originators, and pioneers, imagine them as seeds in the ground, buried deep and unseen, until their vision sprouts into a towering plant or tree, or even forest of ideas, nations, movements, and decrees. For what it's worth, when their worth is obeyed, dedication is the nutrient that paves the founder's way. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Epifani Kakaramba. I'm from Rwanda and I'm in DP1. My poem is entitled They Came. And they came in the dark. The sparkles brightened in the darkness. Hush of sorrow became louder in the room. Brilliance became our note. Asking about offense? Not anymore. They found both father and mother the day they came. They built a hall full of internationalism and smells of Pan-Africanism, full of love, kindness, and while caring became boundaries. I'm here because they've been here. I'm here because they didn't give up. I'm here because they didn't sleep thinking about me. In the rain, crying, mud everywhere, and they came. Didn't mind the roof, cared for the heart, cared for the future that wasn't there. Wanna ask if I'm exhausted? Yes, I am. Wanna ask when I'm giving up? No, I'm not. I'm not because they didn't. I'm not because she didn't. I'm not because making them proud is the only way of appreciating what they did. They came, bringing light and shelter where shadow and storms once lodged. Thank you so much.
To invite our guests. We have with us today Mr. Kojo Choi, class of 1999. Who is Ghana's ambassador designate to South Korea. Mariama Fulami, class of 2013. She's an accomplished relationship manager in corporate banking. We also have with us Mr. and Mrs. Morgan Asiedu. These are long-standing members of the SOS-HGIC community. Mr. and Mrs. Morgan Asiedu are proud parents who have brought 7 wonderful young people through SOS-HGIC. That deserves a round of applause. Mr. Jan or Mr. Kakula. Let me start with Mr. Jan. So what is your earliest memory of the school? And what does it say about our school's values? What was the first thing you remember?
Thank you very much. And good afternoon again. My earliest memories of this school has been an institution that really believed in community service. An institution that believed in giving something back to the community. And in fact, my memories go way back. And we did not just say this, but we lived this. We began with our closest neighbors. We went into the SOS Children's Village in Tema, and we actually were involved in cleanups. We went into the rooms to teach the younger ones how to fold their clothes and do things. And then we moved on to the community, which was a little larger. We have something we call the walkway. So we actually were on a Saturday or on a Thursday when we have cars, we actually walk the walkway and clean it up. And we used to pick up litter, and in fact, we endeared ourselves to a lot of the people in the community because of this. I'm sure we didn't do it because we wanted to endear ourselves, but ultimately, we got very warm, safe ways of passage as we walked from the college to this place. Yes.
Thank you so much, Mr. Jan. Mr. Kakula, I think I want to ask this to you because you've been part of the school for a while, an alumni, a member of the board, and you have many children who are at SOS currently. So if you could bring back one tradition from your student days, what would it be? What would you bring back?
Well, thank you, Garis. I think, as Mr. John said, the tradition had to build a school from the onset. It was a small school when we started in 1990, from a small, diverse background of students from 4 countries, Liberia, Sierra Leone, Ethiopia, and Ghana itself. And among us were 2 young ladies. They were not boarded, they were staying in the community. They used to commute to school. About 18 students. So the tradition started focused on service, compassion, integrity, and tried to create a school of African excellence, which Mrs. Nkrumah and her team worked very hard. Of course, those days were difficult times. It was not like today where we have internet. So they worked extremely hard to build a tradition that lies for quite a long time. So I think we have to continue working hard so that our students have integrity, honesty, and compassion. That's a tradition that's built, which eventually the school motto was established, Knowledge of Service of Africa, making sure that students can remain connected to their countries and their continent, eventually doing good. So one of the traditions that they established early on was the African Days, where we celebrated Africa, Pan-Africanism was in there, of course, which also weaved itself in the motto of the school. So I think those traditions should continue to stay.
Okay. So far, I love the words compassion, service, and Pan-Africanism. Those are very key words. Thank you, Mr. Kekula. We are going to turn to Mr. and Mrs. Morgan Asiedu, our parent panelists. 7 times. I'm even thinking of moving home script. What makes this school community one that stands out to your family and brought you back 7 times, sir and madam?
Thank you very much. I think for us, of course, what drew us here in 2009 was the excellence that we heard about. But once we got in, we also realized that SOS offered more than just academic excellence. The community service and inclusion, I think, stands very tall, for us. Not only does SOS train its students to excel academically, but it also trains them to be empathetic, to care beyond the 4 walls. So the car service, the program that makes the students choose what community they want to get involved in, and what sort of assistance to give those who are less endowed, is something that I think creates in them the need to be supportive of other people who are less endowed. One other thing that I think also stood out for us was the level of independence and self-direction that it's also inculcated in our children. So all 7 of them, without exception, going beyond SOS, we didn't have to be checking on them. What are you doing? Are you studying? I mean, they had already imbibed the spirit of excellence, of independence, of self-direction. And therefore, we don't need to be looking over as to what they are doing. I think beyond SOS, they have all excelled, graduating first class, highest honors, summa cum laude, and the like. And I think these are things that we really cherish.
Thank you very much, sir. Mrs. Morgan Asiedu, would also want to know about the characteristics that stood out to you. How has the school impacted your child's growth, both in learning and in character? What things really stood out to you as they went through our community?
Okay, so thank you very much for the question. Thank you very much for having us. I think for me, the Pan-African ethos, the fact that they were going to go out, they are children that we really were training and they were home people. But the fact that they were going to go out in colleges and the fact that the school Pan-African ethos, where we have people from the region coming together to live together as brothers and sisters, was very key to us, so that when they had to go outside, then already they have this camaraderie, and not just camaraderie everywhere, but with the African community, since we know that this is the knowledge in the service of Africa. So for me, I think the coming together as people in the continent to value ourselves, what we have. And I remember just recently, one of them was listening to something in the news, and he says that a well-known president, I don't want to mention it here, said, asked one president that was speaking English, where did you learn your English from? And he said, wow, I wish he had asked me. I would proudly have said that I learned this English in Ghana. So I think that coming together as a group to learn not only academic excellence, but the ethos of us as Africans, being proud of ourselves as Africans, doing what we do and learning what we do for Africa and then the world over. So I think for me, that's one of the key things that drew me to the school. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Pedro Choi, we want to ask, what part of your experience at HGIC had the biggest influence on who you are today?
First of all, I'd like to thank Mr. Ramayana and also Mr. Helmut Kutin, as well as my mom, Mr. Kama. Without them, we wouldn't be here together. I've lived very interesting, different life in Canada. And my best surety and best credential to anybody was that I have spent 5 good years at SOS College. Whoever I met, I had no need to introduce myself, what kind of training and background I had. The fact that I survived 5 years under Mrs. Nkrumah's leadership and graduated as a proud student at SOS College was in fact the best credential I could have. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Earlier on, we were sitting in the reception area and Mr. Choi was teasing that, because some young students came in and he was teasing that when he was a student, we all entered there with a little bit of trepidation because we were coming to see the principal. But it's good to know you and your principals, Mrs. Nkrumah. Miss Mariam, let me make sure I get the full name properly, ma'am. Fulami. Excuse me for that, ma'am. I would also like to ask you a similar question. What part of your experience here had the biggest influence on who you are today?
For me, coming from, I'm an SOS child from SOS Tema, and being part of the HGIC community actually opened me up to meeting the greatest families I have now, Mr. Thompson, the different friends I have now, and I have this lasting relationship now because of HGIC and SOS as a whole. And being part of the different programs and activities we did in the school actually it makes you very determined as a person. It makes you an achiever. And I can ascertain the fact that it's imbibed in you. The spirit of determination and being an achiever is imbibed in you in HGIC. And I've watched it even without trying much throughout my working years so far and where I've reached now. And it's just in that spirit from HGIC that's been working.
Love it. I'll continue with you and come this way around the panel again. You've talked about the things that have stayed with you and that you apply at work right now and in your life. Can you speak on some of those values, more of those values that you carry with you?
So as I said, there's values, the spirit of determination, being an achiever, and being structured. You know, when you're doing everything that you're doing, you need to be structured. You know, we take it for granted. You go from being in the hostels, getting ready for school, walking to the campus, going through lectures and walking back and all the different activities you have to do. It actually puts you in a place where you structure your day. Every single day, you are forced to structure your day. And it's very important because when you in the working space and even as a family person, it's very important to have that structure with you.
I really love that. I think now we even add planning over the weekends, and we're hoping, as you have picked up, that would also help us build more structure. Mr. Choi, I'd also like to ask you, if you could bring back one tradition from your student days, which of the traditions would it be?
What if the tradition is against the law?
No, then don't mention it.
who wants to be outside the box. And I actually happen to be, one outside the box. And as I was telling you, the fact that I use the word survive, but it's just to make you, feel that, it's actually a journey that requires a lot of commitment and hard work. But of course, we are very much loved, and it's a principle that our principal, Mrs. Nkrumah, had on us is really what shaped us today. But if you're talking about what, there was this Chibom place in the SOS village that we will often, watch out with Mr. Jan's light is off and then we try and sneak out. So yes, I was asking, is it against the law? But I believe that the values, okay, let's be honest, the values, how old was I then? 1994 when I first joined college. I'll be lying if I was thinking of values, right? Yeah, I'll be lying. And all of you who are here, I'm sure most of you are like me then. But as time goes and you're about to graduate, all these values that has been instituted in you by the leadership and the school is what you become and who you are. So I wouldn't be able to single out what exactly I can bring back, but in general, I'm really thankful to you, Mrs. Nkrumah, and to this school. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. and Mrs. Morgan Asiedu, I'd like to ask, we're going to turn our eyes towards the future. As we look into the next 15, 20, 30 years as SOS-HGIC, our hope is grandchildren will also come here. Let me just put a plug in. But what would you want us as a school to keep working on so that we can continue impacting young people over the next few decades?
I think SOS so far has done very well on inculcating in our children or in the students the essence of community. And I think that is one thing that I will urge the teachers to continue to work at. We are very impressed about the fact that our children who left, 10, 8, 9 years ago, they forged a good sense of community amongst themselves. And they continue to bond together. And I think that is very important because when you feel alone in the world, you don't learn from, it's very difficult to, as it were, be influenced by, or you can easily be influenced by what you see out there. But when you have something that is good and you have a good community around you, people who share the same values and ethics, then they keep you in the right path. So that is one thing that I think I would urge the teachers to continue to work at, and also urge my young ones to really work at it, because we come to school not only to get academic qualifications and degrees, but the friendship that you build amongst yourself is also very important. I was at the graduation of my daughter at the University of Leeds, and I was very impressed by the number of SOS students, their friends who came from other universities in the UK to be with her. And talking to one of them, I was encouraging them that they've done well to have stuck together. So, this is what gives us that sense of community togetherness. So, apparently on their birthdays, they would travel to be with each other and encourage each other. They had their own prayer meetings that they used to have on Zoom and things like that. And these are very important things because they keep them on the right path. I think integrity is also one thing that I think stands out, amongst all my children. This is something that they value, and this is something that they will always ensure that they live by. I think if all schools in Ghana can inculcate in the children this sense of community, this sense of integrity, this sense of academic excellence, then there will be great future for Ghana. And once you get it right, academic excellence-wise, integrity-wise, and that sense of community, I believe that there will be great, hope for Ghana and for all of us. So long as SOS continues doing that, I believe that the grandchildren will come.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. If you could add a few more.
Okay, just to add a few, I think by and large he has emphasized on the key points. But for me, I think the interaction with the teachers, with the students, to work along with them during the exam, during times where they need additional assistance. And of course, I remember yourself as a counselor, how you were going along with, my daughter and everything. So I think it's good. It gives them the confidence. It makes them very confident when, they have to step out there. They are able to interact. They're able to speak out. They're able to bring out the ideas. And so I think that is something that I would want the school to continue. And I think focusing on the individuals when there's a particular issue and coming out of it, to come out of whatever issue it is. And also, I think the bond, the independence when they come out from their homes, where to build a community where they can call each other sisters and brothers, is a good thing. I like the way also, we can walk up to Mrs. Darcy, the school management team, Mrs. Nkrumah, as parents, we can also walk up to them and discuss issues. So I think that we should continue to enhance that so that whatever is behind that someone says, to maybe their parents or something, not to say we should come and say to them, but some of the needs or whatever musings can also come to the school. So we thank God very much for the relationship that we have with the school management team, the independence, and also the fact that the teachers go along with the students. Thank you very much.
Thank you both very much.
Thank you. So there have been moments when I feel very proud of being associated with this school. Whenever I hear any of our students doing anything and thinking beyond self and going to support others, especially the more vulnerable in the community. But one thing I do remember clearly, and this happened in July 2010. We had our students, DP1 students, as we refer to them now. Those days they were IB1 students. So these DP1 students, at the end of the long vacation, they came to talk to a couple of us, and they said they wanted to spend their long vacation doing something to help the school for the blind. This is a time when many people are thinking of where to fly to spend summer. And this is what these 10 students actually asked. And so at that time, I was working closely with the CAS department. So we put together the logistics they would need. And in fact, I spoke to one of them coming here. And some of the things he mentioned was that, yes, they started off like teaching assistants, helping out, but they went to the dining hall with them, They played football with them. They didn't sleep there. They had a place where they retired to sleep. And eventually one of the things they did was they actually had a meeting, an exit meeting with the head of school, and asked, what are the challenges in such a system? And for me, what is fascinating is not only the sacrifice, but the fact that they did this hoping that one day, when they are in a position of strength, they'll be able to support these institutions better. And to talk about the future, I think this is the kind of thing that we need in this school. As for academics, God being good will always be there. But outside in the world, there is something more that is needed in an individual beyond academics. And that is what this school must make sure that we do not lose. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that, and excited that that legacy of care has not changed. I believe just a few months ago, some of our students had a project in the Volta region that was launched. I think the READS project, to go and help students. So our prayer is our students always have that sense of knowing that although they are one, together they can be strong and they can make a difference. As we wrap up this part of the session, I'd like to ask Ms. Mariama and Mr. Choi if you have any last words to share with our students, and then we'll go and ask for questions from the audience.
So I'll start. For me, I remember the beginning, whilst being at HGIC, Mrs. Nkrumah, Mr. Ofe, the teachers, Mr. Jan, they will always smile at you. For being an SOS child, they made you feel inclusive, and that was very important for me. And I think for the future, I will plead with the teachers, the management team here, the staff, to continue that spirit, because HGIC was built on the foundation of SOS. So the legacy Mr. Kuti set up should continue to be so. Thank you.
My fellow brothers and sisters, I was in your seat some 26 years ago. And just 2-3 weeks ago, I was appointed as the Ghana's ambassador designate to South Korea. What I'm trying to say is that I've not planned for it, I've not dreamed about it, I never thought of me becoming one. I just ensured I did what I had to do, what was in front of me. So all of you who are now at SOS College, do your best. I know the next chapter of your life will soon be right in front of you, and as you are committed and faithful to whatever is given to you at the right time, I want to see you at the summit. Thank you.
Thank you. We would love to take some questions from our invited guests, our parents, and our students, our honored students. So if you have a question, there's a mic at the podium. You can just come over and ask your question to our distinguished panel. You have to turn.
Good afternoon. Mr. Choi, this question is directed to you. So I wanted to ask how your years here have impacted you as a person and your career.
If I have you right, there's no monitor here, so you can hardly hear you. My 5 years at SOS College was the best credential I could carry to anybody everywhere. My diploma of IEB diploma basically shows that I have the ability to basically, when I really understand, and as a part of a person in society, I can actually mingle and do well. So how did it affect me? In fact, that's a good question, very good question. You know what, I actually had the opportunity of going to Korea when I had finished my school at SOS College. I actually had the opportunity of going to America or Canada. If I tell you how many schools I applied, it was only one school in the US. Because I had made my mind that I was coming to stay, that I wasn't going to go anywhere. And how did that happen? As I told you when I was young, the values that the school was giving me, trust me, I had no idea of these values. But after a while, as you live it and as you dream it and you eat it, it becomes part of you and it becomes you. So our motto, knowledge in the service of Africa. Really, if I am here, why did God bring me here in the first place? And why did God put me through this school? If not me, someone else would have given me the chance. So yes, it has really helped me taking the very important decisions in my life. And also the credential that as I told you, as my IB diploma, the fact that I have survived 5 good years under Mrs. Nkrumah, wherever I went, actually it was the best surety that this is a good guy. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's not the best times here, and then advice to students. Yes, okay. So for me, the best time was my hostel, Vikings. I enjoyed almost every competition. I really look forward to every competition. The worst times, I would say the worst was difficult, which was the studying, growing up and everything. But as I said earlier on, it shapes you to be who I am today, basically. And for the students now, your teachers know whatever it is that's going to happen to you in the future. It's difficult to believe. I was pretty stubborn here, I won't lie. But I can attest to the fact that whatever it is they taught me, it still was at the back of my mind. And I was able to use that to get to where I am. So truly believe them, listen to them as much as you can, as much as possible. Please listen to your teachers and take your studies serious. Thank you.
You know, it was a small school, so we're quite known by name, by Mrs. Nkrumah. And you know, since I was a kid, I always loved to have no haircut. I never liked to grow hair. And Mrs. Nkrumah saw me going to class, and she called me back to her office. I followed her to the office. I knew I was a good child. I'd done nothing. So I was surprised, because when she said, follow me, you are in deep trouble. So I was like, what have I done? She said, why did you shave your hair? I was suspended to go and grow my hair. And then she asked, do you know who shaved their hair? I'm totally confused. I was confused. And then she wanted to talk about shaved hair, red trouser, but no, I always wore my trouser, wore my belt. But you know, it's value they're trying to instill in you. There was the culture at that time, people who shaved their hair aligned to different values and stuff. So she could explain that to us. But she was loving. It was a small school, so my experience is different from today. We were always taken to different places to see different things, but we got tired with the boys' center. Always go to the boys, because we have to be in battle with Pan-Africanism. We're like, what are we doing here? All the time, someone gave me some very technical lecture, and here we are sitting down. Later on, we got to understand all of those, what the school was about. Because, the school went through different phases. From IGCSE, when we're in IG, they were talking about IB. And the people were trying to learn the IB to teach. So sometimes there was a disconnect. Sometimes our teachers were absent from class because there was meeting to get prepared for the IB. So they had a lot of empathy for us, a lot of compassion. In terms of Mr. Kutin, I traveled a lot with him. We visited many countries together. And when he was alive, there would not be a week where I would not get a text message from him. When he passed away, I called Mrs. Nkrumah. If they open his phone and they saw the text messages between the two of us, I'll be in big trouble.
Thank you, Mr. Kakula. Amazing that the challenge then was your hair was too low. Very interesting.
There have been any bittersweet moments with your students that shaped how you interacted with children and your approaches to teaching?
Interesting.
Very interesting question. In fact, my reason why I stuck in teaching, which I've said very often, was because I wanted to be the teacher I never had. I wanted to be that teacher who was there for the student all the time. And so all my students know that I start with one thing. In fact, two things. The first is that we're learning for life and not for school. And the second is that every human being is extremely intelligent. And based on that, I did not see any student as not being capable. So we pushed through, and at the end of the day, with integrity, we made it where we had to be, and we're proud of it. Worst moments was when the students didn't really trust that you were there for them. That skepticism was difficult, and as an educator, you can't be, you want to help the students, but there is a distance that you must keep as an educator, which should be there, and there is some fairness that you must maintain in terms of discipline. So it was quite interesting, but at the end of the day, I have no regrets, having worked here for 34 years.
The question is directed to Mr. Kikula. I just wanted to know if there were any naughty things you did that Mrs. Nkrumah, that you got away with, and Mrs. Nkrumah never found out about.
Thank you for your question. Growing up, I was very shy. I played a lot of basketball. Mr. John can attest to that. I was the captain for the school, and I was also coaching the basketball team because we didn't have, a lot of times there was not basketball being played in Ghana those days in the 90s. So I was coaching both the boys and the girls team, and I was also the captain for our team. And we led, I think I got in trouble playing a lot of balls those days. I was, here was our cut in school, and we didn't have a cut then anyway. I don't know what I have a cut now. We didn't have it. So I spent a lot of time playing basketball, and that actually kept me out of trouble. And because when maybe other students are misbehaving, I was on the court playing. Which I then taller because I was a very good player, extremely good. So we won a lot of games against other schools, then which was incredible. We played against GIS a lot. So I think I got into trouble a little bit just when people are going on stage shooting ball. Because we used to come back here to play. And by the time your friends are gone and you keep shooting. But because it was a small school, we knew each other, and we had each other's back. So we protected each other. And the teachers were also very busy learning the IB programs, and they're friends. They treat us as their friends. So, except that maybe we ate a lot. We're a lot of boys. We got into trouble a little bit where we were asking for more food sometimes, and we're demanding. And of course, those days in the 90s, there were a lot of traditional Ghanaian food, and we did not want that. We needed something different like jollof rice. But the school accommodated all of those, but I know that we demanded a little bit. But at that time, the school community was extremely supportive, unnecessarily supportive to us. So we did not get into too much trouble, but there were some friends, like for example, there was this guy who burned his summer hut. So we really thought that this guy, we all knew Mrs. Nkrumah, and this happened over the weekend, I think Saturday or Sunday. And this guy was called Kwame Nkrumah. That's his name, Kwame Nkrumah. We said, oh, maybe for the name, we're surprised when we were cut off the school. So then we all started, if Mrs. Nkrumah can expel Kwame Nkrumah, then who cannot be expelled?
Thank you.
So we all correct.
Thank you for that risque question and answer. Yes, please, we'll take the next. This wasn't answered recently. And then we'll take just one more question. Because we want to make sure that our parents get to spend a lot of quality time with our students, because it's visiting day as well. So we'll be wrapping up. The question was, what is one It's a very good one. If you would go back into time, what's the one thing you would change? Let me take, Mariam is shaking her head like she's not aware there's one. What's the choice? Is there one thing, if there was something you could go back in time? Okay, so this is a quick one.
Okay, for me it's a uniform, right? How the blue started. When we're in prep, before the RG, we did not wear uniform. So having had intensive discussion with Mrs. Nkrumah, we agreed on a uniform, blue and white. But then, after 2 years, the school changed. There was a second phase, the IB. It was impossible to tell the rest of the school to change their uniform. So we went blue and blue. But I would rather think the senior wear the white because the junior, sometimes the uniform, maybe could be changed rather than the junior wear the blue and blue, then the senior wear the white and blue. But the blue came because we wanted to distinguish ourselves. So we kept the same, the skirts and the trousers, we just changed to distinguish ourselves. And again, it was a discussion with Mrs. Nkrumah those days. She kept us informed and we participated in the discussion. But rather, I think it should be changed. If you become a senior, you wear the white. I mean, if you get a DP, that's something I would like to change, if I had a chance.
Interesting. I wonder how...
Elected to Mr. Choi. Are there some things you did that you ended up regretting? And if they are sound, how would you advise us to avoid doing those things?
So was your question, are there some things that he regrets and how would he advise students to do better? Okay.
Okay. If I could come back, if I could rewind the time and come back to be where you are right now, probably I would really, give it my best into my academics. I was always looking for the practical side of of everything. So I remember asking my math teacher, why do we have to learn calculus? How will that help me in my life? I remember asking Mrs. George, it was a chemistry class, on things that I know will help me in my life. And I kept on asking in physics class, and I had half of the teachers who answered with very genuine love and interest in me that you are very different. You know what? I don't know why you have to learn, but you have to learn to pass your exams and go to college. So one of the teachers basically looked at me, gave me a very sarcastic smile and turned and continued with the lesson. Of course, I always did well. I mean, Mrs. Diploma is my witness. I passed and I had my diploma, I had my everything. But if given the chance, I really would have done my best, because you think you're having a tough time. You think you are really going through a difficult time, thinking that you just want to get over it as soon as possible. I can tell you, my young brothers and sisters, that you are really having your best time in your life. You come out of the school, you're on your own, you get married, you have a whole new woman that you've never met in your life now living with you. You end up having, I have 6 children. Yes, that's good work that I'm doing. So, what I will tell you is that, you know what, before the real world is dawned on you, enjoy every minute, every second when you are where you are now. Enjoy it.
Mr. and Mrs., if you could take that question even as we wrap up.
I am not sure if I have really had a setback, as it were. But one thing I know is that, determination is one thing that I think all of us need to have inculcated in us. Once you are determined to get something, you will push and get it. And every training that you go through, whether it is something that, especially if you are a student, you may not like it because you don't seem to see the relevance. You just need to believe in your teachers and your parents, that they have your best interest at heart. So, if I may touch on something like the singing competition that we have here, I mean, it's an extra curricular activity that I think, everybody gets involved in. Sitting back where I am, I see how this singular activity of the school has inculcated leadership qualities in my children. I mean, each there's a club or whatever they call it. Hostel is determined to win. And I've seen people push themselves to extreme limits. Those who are, training for it, those who are praying, and how people cry and all that. But for me, I see how this has built leadership in all my children, wherever they go. So, just be determined that you will succeed, buy into whatever programs the school is putting up in, and it will surprise you how wherever you go, you will stand out as a leader and the go-to person. Thank you very much.
Thank you very, very much. Ma'am, you have a few words to add.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that there are challenges in life. I guess that her question is like, what if I have issues? There are challenges in life wherever you are, as a kindergarten girl, as a married person. But what you need to do, the values of this school, 3 things. But first of all, you should be God-fearing. Always go to God in prayer concerning your issues. And then your integrity, and then your quest for excellence, and then your, which one is the thing? Integrity, respect for all. And I know that with that you will succeed. Thank you very much.
Huge hand of applause. We've heard words like integrity, community, respect, compassion, Pan-Africanism, excellence, leadership. That is what SOS-HGIC stands for. Please let's say a big thank you to Mr. Alexander Markekula, Mr. Michael Jan, Mr. and Mrs. Morgan Asebu, Miss Mariama Fulami, Mr. Kodocho. At this time, we're going to take our school video, and I'll invite our distinguished panelists to kindly have a seat. Let's clap.
Every brick, every classroom, every hallway has a story to tell. This is the story of SOS-HGIC, a school that has shaped lives, created memories, and stood the test of time. It's a story of community, growth, and a pathway to an excellent education.
The school actually was the brainchild of the then president of SOS, Mr. Helmut Kutin, and he had that idea sometime in the late 80s when he flew over Ghana with the founder of SOS International, Dr. Herman Gmeiner. And he first had the idea of putting a school in the hills of the Shire Hills. But the real reason he wanted a school was because he himself was an SOS child, grew up in the first village, and all over the world, SOS children were in all fields of endeavor, whether it was farming or they were chefs or tailors, but they were also doctors or nurses or whatever. But in Africa, there were hardly any SOS kids who go to university and into the professions. And he wanted a school which would prepare he said, the brightest and the best SOS children so that they too could have possibilities. That was the brainchild. The main vision was Mr. Kutin's, to have the brightest and best SOS children who were academically inclined to go on to run the SOS organization later. The idea was they would go to university, they would learn different skills, they would come back to Africa and help run the organization. Now, when I got involved with the school, my vision was to have a Pan-African school because the children will be coming from villages all over Africa. And also, we wanted a school where you bred leaders, also to have the beginnings of the African Union my father-in-law talked about. The school was supposed to actually start in the academic year of 1991. But in September, we got a telegram from the then regional director from Innsbruck that he had selected 12 students from Ethiopia, and they would be on the plane on such and such a time, and they arrived on the campus only for us to discover that half of them spoke no English at all and the other half very minimal. So this is really how the school began in 1990, 5th of November. what was interesting was that every year we doubled in size. And as we doubled in size, we got a lot of students from different schools who sort of tried to put their mission and vision in the school.
I was one of the pioneering students of SOS-HGIC International College. I came here late 1990. We started with the preparatory classes and then started formally in 1991 with the IGCSE class and completed in 1995. When we arrived here, there were a lot of good impressions. First of all, the teachers, the faculty, they were ready to take the journey along with us. They were ready to work with us. So that alone gave a lot of challenges, and that motivated us. Assistant Nkrumah started teaching us English, which was beautiful. She made sure that you are very articulate in her class, gave you a lot of work to do, and then accompany us along the way. She had a big dream for us.
Actually, I didn't know much about myself, should I say. I wasn't so self-aware when I was here. But when I left, that was when I realized the impact the school had had on me. Mrs. Nkrumah wrote a recommendation letter for me, and she described my characteristics, and then she talked about integrity. And I was so, at that time, I didn't realize that I was such a person of integrity. And even now, I think those guiding principles sort of direct the way that I think. They really shaped me.
I have worked at SOS-HGIC for 33 years. This is my 34th year. And I started off as a house tutor. Then we were referred to as educators, a number of young people who were in charge of the boarding hostel. And I was the senior educator for close to 5 years, after which I also took up the role as deputy CAS coordinator. When I arrived, this was a school which was emerging. We had students now coming in from the different countries. I met students from Sierra Leone and Liberia and Ethiopia.
We were not getting students from the SOS children's villages. They either had not heard of the school, or their answer was that we have good schools in our countries too. Why should we send our students to Africa? So I had to undertake visits to Zimbabwe, to Kenya, to different African countries to explain to them that this school had been specifically set up with this mission, and that they should tell me which of the good schools their own children were in. And I happened to have lived in Zimbabwe for 7 years, and I knew all the good schools, and I knew that no SOS child went to any of them. And it was in Zimbabwe, it was Mr. Nkomo, who was the vice president at the time, who helped us make inroads into the school. And in Kenya, the then German national director also saw the force of the argument and started to send. So that was one of the major challenges. The second one was that the syllabuses we were doing were totally new. We were the first IGCSE school here. We were the first IB diploma school, and none of the textbooks were available here. The teachers all had to be trained in this syllabus. One other major challenge I would like to mention is that the students from Ghana who began to come to our school, because after the first few years people heard and started to take our entrance exams, had all some foundation which a lot of our SOS children did not have. So we started to bring in the SOS children 2 years before the actual start of the curriculum, so that we could make up the shortfall especially in math, science, and English. So that program was quite effective in getting our children up to scratch. First-time students began to get into the best universities in America. We sent students to UK, to Germany, to Netherlands. But the proudest moment, I think, for me personally in the school was when the first SOS student got into Harvard with a full scholarship. And after that, no SOS student could say, oh, because I'm an SOS child, I cannot achieve this or that. That was a milestone for the school. And I think a second thing that I would regard as a success was that as an African, I became the head of the IB Heads Conference and persuaded them to have, for the first time in Africa, their Heads Conference in Ghana. I think that one I would count as a great success for the school. It was a collective effort. Nobody can do such a thing alone. You can give the leadership, but you have to bring the people along with you. And some of the early pioneers, Julian Kitchen, a Scotsman, Mrs. Marte, Titi Ofe, who became principal, a few dynamic people from GIS, among whom was Isaac Quist and Chris Tay, Mrs. Nega from Ethiopia, Mr. and Mrs. George, and also the canteen staff.
Like any institution in the last 5 years, SOS-HGIC has faced its share of challenges. We were plunged into COVID, but our unique circumstances, where a third of our student body had to remain as boarders on campus during the pandemic because they could not leave the country, presented us with an exceptional problem. The border of Ghana was closed, and flights to many African countries were not possible. But through it all, the spirit of the school endured. We powered through and created together, with some very brave and committed staff, as well as our resilient students, a safe and supportive environment through those difficult days and months, and we came through stronger. Over the years, SOS-HGIC became more than just a place of learning. It has become a home where students form lifelong friendships, build lasting memories, and carry forward the traditions that defined the school. These experiences are nurtured and bloom in the SOS-HGIC hostels, a home away from home. Life at SOS-HGIC goes beyond the classroom. It is at the hostels where students truly engage and learn to live, and learn together in an environment that fosters community. The school's vibrant spirit comes to life at the hostels. It is there that the hostel groups, the Spartans, the Vikings, the Titans, and the Trojans engage in healthy competition.
They learn how to live with people who are not coming from their comfort zone. They learn to share space with other people. They learn to manage their emotions. They also learn to accommodate other people's excesses. These soft skills are needed in the wider world. So they learn all these soft skills at the hostels.
We do everything together, we work together. I've come to get them to understand the fact that it's a family, and as a family, we need to look out for each other. And so everything we do in the hostel, we operate with that mentality. I will lead the charge sometimes, get the leaders to lead the charge sometimes, and we are practically working together. And so it's something that is encouraging a very good atmosphere in the hostel. There are quite innumerable skills that students pick up by being here. Students pick up social skills, they pick up leadership skills, and they pick up time management skills, and make sure you do what is expected of you as a skill that I feel is very much needed to survive in the real world. Students get the opportunities to serve in many portfolios from the club level, hostel level, and ultimately school-wide level. And that is why when you go out there, our students are doing marvelously in many leadership positions.
One thing that I've enjoyed the most is the people, because everyone is different. Although we have the same goals, we are all different and we all work in different ways to achieve those goals. And I find it fascinating how people think differently, people understand differently, people reason differently. They're all working towards something.
I believe SOS-HGIC has given me several opportunities to take part in my community in many ways. For example, I've been the Vice President of the Pan-African Club. In addition to that, I'm the President of the Model United Nations Club, which has helped me gain an appreciation for the world we live in.
Today, SOS-HGIC stands as a modern, thriving institution with state-of-the-art facilities, dedicated teachers, and a diverse student body. It continues to shape the future while honoring its past.
SOS Hermamina International College was set up as a school of academic excellence. It takes in the brightest and the best from the SOS colleges from across the African continent, alongside its Ghanaian counterparts in a spirit of Pan-Africanism. And we really focus on care and compassion for our fellow human being. We have alumni in Google, alumni working in various tech companies. We also have alumni working at the college and giving back, knowledge in the service of Africa as our motto. And we're very proud of our alumni and where they go on to.
I think the mission, vision, and philosophy really, and this is really a microcosm of what we want to see on the African continent, seeing that there are students coming from all walks of life, all different backgrounds, what you would actually experience in the real world, mixed with passionate and dedicated teachers and a wide range of opportunities and experiences that really help not just the students but teachers also grow.
What I have found most inspiring is monitor and watch my students make steady progress. Sometimes they start on very modest notes, but they have made steady progress and have in the end achieved to the highest level possible, to the extent that sometimes the sky becomes their limit.
SOS-HGIC is more than just a school. It is committed to the development and service of its community. From its humble beginnings to the present day, the college thrives on inspiring its students to serve as a catalyst for growth and opportunity.
We chose SOS-HGIC over the other schools also offering the same program because we realized that it's the first among equals because of the discipline here and the holistic nature of the education that is given here. The school has done very well, especially with the first one. He left here to go to Princeton University. He gets people asking him if he lived in Ghana throughout his life, and he said yes. And why do they ask him? Because there's that sort of internationalism as well as a Pan-Africanism which is brought into whatever he does. He's very confident. He seems to know so much about a lot of cultures.
We've had 7 children at SOS-HGIC, but 6 have already completed.
We chose this school mainly for its academic excellence. Aside the academic excellence, we testify to the fact that they have all grown into very confident adults. We have seen our children transform into very confident adults.
The international environment where you have students from all over Africa meeting on one campus. The Pan-African ethos is an experience. I think it's a unique one that sets SOS-HGIC apart from other schools.
I'm now more confident than I was. I am internationally minded than I was because I was in a monocultural community. So I was trapped in one culture, but now it's broad. I can see different cultures, diversity of cultures, and I can interact with them as well.
Since joining SOS-HGIC International College, I have grown as an individual, different people with different perspectives, different backgrounds, and I think this has enabled me grow as an individual, both educationally and I think generally holistically.
The story of SOS-HGIC is far from over. With each new generation of students, the legacy grows stronger.
Parents, students, join hands every day to make a small step to make this world a little better.
Together, we celebrate the past, embrace the present, and look forward to the future of learning, growth, and community. This is the history of SOS-HGIC, a history that will continue to unfold one student at a time.
Wow, that was quite something. I even have tears in my eyes because it brings back so many memories. I miss Mr. Putin being here to see this and to know what he has wrote. Thank you very much. For those who put this thing together, it's really a fantastic job. I'm not in the least surprised because this is HGIC. Thank you. So, as Mr. Putin will say, all protocols observed. And this school was not founded by one person. He was the originator, so I'm very happy. As an informer, there's one founder which is apostrophe S. This one is S apostrophe. So thank you for disobeying Mr. Putin. Now, the third thing I want to say is personal. People talk about what you've done for SOS or what you've achieved, or what they don't talk about is what it has done for me. It has been a way of life, not a job. It's given me personal fulfillment and a mission, and something I look forward to doing every day. How many of you can say that about your jobs? So thank you to HGIC. It has also taught me a lot about teenagers. What I know about them, in spite of all their shenanigans, they think they are very smart, but I know that these kids are capable of achieving anything in the world if they are only given the opportunity and the direction. And this is what this school wants to do. So, I think the biggest thing for me, apart from all the things mentioned, like integrity, the values we try to teach, above all is a knowledge and pride in themselves as Africans. Because that's the only thing that holds us back, is without that knowledge, you will believe what others say of you. And the students of this school have gone out and proved this over and over again, and we are so proud of all of them. And on this day, I'd like to always remember and give thanks to the man who made all this possible, the father and grandfather of all the children in all the SOS villages, and all the students in this school, because he claimed them as his as well. Mr. Helmut Kutin of blessed memory. Now, before I finish, I would like to make a small presentation to our principal, Mrs. Jackson. If you'll come and help me unfold this. Don't worry, it's not personal. It's not personal today. Can you see what says. It says Ubuntu. Have you heard that word? Yes. Okay. It says Kinder, Kulturen, my German. What it means is that children experience cultures. The Ubuntu philosophy is from South Africa, and basically it means I am because we are. We are part of one another, and this is one of the founding principles of this school. And when I became vice president between 2008 and 2012, we formed a small group in the headquarters to teach Ubuntu to school kids, this philosophy. Because in Germany, there were a lot of Turkish immigrants. And the two sides really, if I went into a school to give a lecture, the same thing when I went to Zimbabwe way back in 1983, you will see all the white kids in my school sitting over there, and all the black kids. And when you ask them why, they are shocked. You should ask them. They said, no, there's no racism, there's no difference, so why? So we went there, and when I was coming back, the flag that we used to show Ubuntu was given to me, and I would like to give it to HGIC to add to its flags so that they will always remember the spirit of Ubuntu. Okay, thank you. So, everything I've got left to say is to thank all the panelists. I mean, really, that was quite a revelation. And the staff, the students, the adults, both here and online, who have joined with us to make this day such a meaningful and memorable one. Thank you so much.
We want to say a big thank you for all of you joining us today.